Good morning on day 120, folks. It's the final day of July. It's 5:28, 38.8 degrees. I'm waking up next to Grizzly Lake, getting ready to move into the Gallatin Grizzly Conservation Area or something. Should be great. All right, good morning, folks. It is 6:50 in the morning. That is 10 till 7. And 37.8 degrees. Still quite chilly. Yeah, but it's been a pretty little morning here next to Straight Creek. You can see still all of the, I don't know what, mist kind of rising up off the water, climbing back up into the sky. Always kind of cool to see. Slept pretty good last night, man. I'll tell you, it was a deadly calm and quiet night last night, just almost eerily so. There was no crickets, no frogs, no birds, no breeze. The chipmunks and squirrels were chirping at me for quite some time, but even they eventually gave up and decided I wasn't going to leave, so they quieted down as well, and it was just so quiet. And then this morning, I think the cold just kind of kept them all asleep because there was like one bird who sang a tiny little bit first thing in the morning. I mean, but like maybe for 2 minutes, and then that was it. And it wasn't until about 15 minutes ago that they started back up again. And I heard a sand something crane, which is a crazy sounding call. I had to use that app Merlin to identify what in the world bird that was, because it was just so out of this world. I'd recommend looking it up because it was pretty neat. Sandhill crane. Sandhill crane is the bird I heard this morning. Really pretty close too. Sounds like a dinosaur from Jurassic Park or something. Pretty neat bird. Pretty neat call, I should say. Let's see what else. Well, it's my last full day in Yellowstone, which is what it is. I mean, it's nice to know I'm making progress, but it's been a nice park. I mean, yesterday was pretty mundane, pretty boring or whatever, but that was yesterday. Today, well, I guess today I should hope it should be that boring today, considering I'm not sure if it's called the Gallatin Bear, like Grizzly Conservation Area. I don't think that's probably not its right name, because really all of Yellowstone is a grizzly conservation area. It might be like the Grizzly Research Area or something like that. I forget exactly what its title is. But Gallatin, Gallatin, I think, is the name of this area. And I should explain yesterday, that big old road walk. So there are very few, astonishingly few, north-south trails of any significant distance in Yellowstone. So obviously I entered Yellowstone on the south, and for whatever silly reason got it into my head that I shouldn't say whatever silly reason, this is like a world-famous park, but I got it into my head that I wanted to see way more of it than the CDT was gonna provide. So I was like, well, I'm going north anyways. I may as well just kick out through the north side, get me closer to Big Sky, which I heard was a cool town, get me closer to Bozeman, which I hear is a cool town, all that stuff. So it kind of seemed like a win-win. But when I actually sat down to chart it out, it astonished me. There's really there's no way to get from the south to the north without road walking. So that's what I did, and that's what I'll be doing today. You know what, there's going to be a two-hand affair to use my trekking poles. I'll come right back. All right, sweet. Dry feet maintained for at least another short while. But I was talking about road walking. So basically today I have to start, I think, 3 miles on this Grizzly Lake trail to get back to that exact same road, unfortunately. And then 4 miles heading north on that road before I before I kick off onto another trail, which will take me up over Bighorn Pass is the name of that pass. Wow, check out the sun there, just barely peeking out. Hot red, that's cool. Yeah, and so I'll be road walking another 4 miles today, which is a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. If I want to do what I want to do, which I do. But the thing is, today is only scheduled to be a 22-mile day. Again, all of Yellowstone, I got to book up all my campsites in advance. So today's the day I had originally planned to go further north up this road before bearing west onto the Sportsman Trail or something like that. But again, that's where they had found that carcass. So that was all closed. So this is the day where I'm diverging from what I had charted for my Yellowstone jaunt while in Jackson. The rangers at Beckler put me kind of hip to switching things up on account of that carcass up there. So, all right, one final note, and then we'll get to hiking. Speaking of carcass, oh man, last night. So again, I slept good, no interruptions, no scares, no grisly encounters, nothing like this. But I got to camp. I started setting up my tent. You know, I found a good flat spot and pitched up my tent and got my bunk all squared away. And that's a red-tailed hawk I just heard. Got my bunk all squared away, and I started looking around for the food pole, because again, all these campsites are supposed to have food poles. Well, I was looking around. Oh, that's a loon. Is it? I think so. It's in the air. Yeah. No, that's a sandhill crane. That's pretty cool. And the red-tailed hawk. Wow, we're getting all sorts of cacophony now. Anyway, so I got my bunk all squared away, and I was looking for that food pole, and I couldn't find it. And so I thought, well, maybe this is one of those campsites that has no food pole. Well, it turns out I had pitched my tent directly underneath the food pole, so whatever. I just did a PCT hang 300 or 400 feet from camp. That's fine. But in searching for the bear pole, man, I also found bones, like big animal bones, like spine and rib cage. And the vertebrae were about the same circumference as my calf. So decent sized animal. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd guess some kind of elk or something like this. Bigger than a deer. But no horns or anything, antlers to tell the tale. Yeah, and for the most part, the bones were well sort of bleached out and picked over. But there was one like leg joint that still had like some kind of gore on it. But with the rest of the bones having been pretty well scavenged and picked over and pretty much clean, I didn't feel terrible about camping there. But all the same, using a couple sticks, I kind of scooped up what bones I found and chucked them into the creek, which, yell at me if you want for leave no trace, but dude, there's plenty of dead animals in these creeks, for one, and for two, come out and hike 38 miles and then pitch your tent as it's getting dark next to Grizzly Lake, find some gory bones, tell me what you do. So yeah, just is what it is. I feel good about that decision. Yeah, and who knows whether that helped or not, but I know there was no grizzly encounter, so I'll take it. Well, Sill's telling me it's time to snap off, and I will check in with you guys later. Guys, 124 and 71 degrees. I hope you can excuse the wind noise, but I wanted to give my afternoon check-in here while there are still some views. So this is where I came up this morning from Bighorn. This is Bighorn Pass that I'm standing on. So I kind of came up, I don't know if you can tell, so you see this big bald mountain over here that kind of slopes away down into a gentle green. And then there's a ridge that comes in the foreground of this mountain on the left, the sort of skirt of the mountain on the left. So anyways, I came from around this ridge, around that way, and now we're up on Bighorn Pass, which is actually a spectacular view. And I didn't think the climb was too terribly bad either. I mean, you know, from time to time I'd kind of slow down and drink some water and take it easy, but I feel like if you're in decent shape, you could do that climb pretty nice, and honestly I'd recommend it. Here's the view off the other way, which is equally spectacular. Yeah, I mean, just really pretty. Sparse vegetation. It's pretty clear to me that they've had a fire here at some point, fire or beetles or something, maybe a little bit of both, which is sad. I know Yellowstone burned a few years ago. I'm not sure whether this particular area was affected by that burn or not, but anyways, I was just kind of hanging out up here, and again, I only have like 6 or 7 miles left on the day, so I hung out and pretty well housed a bag of Doritos, and you know, that again, in lieu of cooking any lunch today, I just wanted to have something hopefully less odorous until I kind of wrap my head around what grizzly territory means exactly. And you know, once I crushed the Doritos, you know, it was still like, I got up here like just a couple minutes after noon, so so I kind of laid down, put my hat over my eyes a little bit, had my bear spray handy with the safety off, kind of on my stomach as I lay down. But you know, that was probably just me being paranoid. Yeah, I took a little snooze, and then, you know, not really snooze, just kind of a little siesta, just a little 15-minute lay down, and then popped back up and decided I should probably do something productive. So I set to work trying yet again to resolve this bottom strut on my pack. Please excuse me as I rant about this for a moment, because if you're not familiar with the Z-Pack's arc hull, I understand that this might not make a whole ton of sense, but again, the horizontal strut that goes, sort of weaves through the waist belt, and then seats in a little nest of like a nylon webbing on either side. Well, the one on the right-hand side was poking through. I mentioned this yesterday, I think. And I had tried to just smash some tire rubber in there that I found during the road walk, but that didn't work. That didn't work for very long. I mean, it just kind of kept popping out, that road rubber. You know, so the thing is, like, the horizontal strut on the bottom is maybe the most important of the 3 struts in the whole pack. So it kind of needs a solution. I mean, either that or I just basically essentially wear a frameless pack, which isn't the end of the world, but you know, I like a framed pack. It's way more comfortable and it really helps distribute the weight way better. So just now, when I kind of woke up from my little siesta, or got up from my little siesta, I was digging around just in the miscellaneous junk that I have in my pack. There's not a ton of it, but among those miscellaneous items is little earplugs, little foam earplugs that I always carry whenever I hike and camp. And I have, like, I don't know what, I mean, they weigh maybe 2 grams a pair or something. I mean, they're just so insanely light. So I carry, like, I don't know what, 4 or 5 pair or something. But I took one of the older earplugs and kind of cut it in half, and then just kind of using the sort of flathead tip on my Swiss Army knife, just kind of smashed it down into that little nylon webbing seat. And you know, I'm hoping that'll work better, because the foam earplugs, they're built to want to expand. So I'm hoping, now that I've put that horizontal strut back into its seat, and it seems okay for now, might be I mean, it plays anyways. I mean, it makes sense to me that this might work, and that would be great if it does. And again, I'm looking forward to an email back, wow, from Z-Packs whenever I get service again, which I don't expect will be for another couple days. But anyways, so that was lunch. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and snap off because I feel like this is rambling, and I will talk to you guys not too long, maybe a couple hours or so before camp. It's whatever it is, 1:30 on the nose right now, so I'll talk to you later. Good evening, folks. It is 4:18 p.m. There's the tent. Definitely early to be calling it a day, but that's just kind of how it works. There's my socks and sleeping bag all up on this kind of hiker Christmas tree. So I have made it to Whiskey Bravo 1, which is home for the night, also known as Gallatin River. This is going to be my final campsite in Yellowstone. And what's funny, actually, is you'll see, so there's my tent, and Whiskey Bravo 1 is actually in that next tree stand. We'll kind of walk back over there together as we do this evening check-in. Yeah, I didn't, so there was a food pole, two food poles, strangely, bear poles, whatever you want to call them, at this campsite. But no, like, super obvious great tenting spot. There were a few to the east, maybe. Not a whole lot better than the one I found right here. But they're to the east, and I don't love, I mean, I have op sacks and stuff like that, odor-proof bags for all my food and stuff, and a theoretically bear-proof bag, all that, but all the same, just as a matter of good form, I'd rather camp upwind of my food than downwind of my food. So I mean, I might make a different decision on a more tired, longer day or something like that. But, you know, it seems pretty easy tonight just to kind of like take all the necessary and kind of like proper outdoorsy precautions, especially given that I'm only 2 or 3 miles, if that, probably 2 miles maybe from the Gallatin bear management area, whatever that means. I'm not really sure how you manage bear, but there you have it. I mean, again, yeah, man, another, I don't want to say boring day, because I really do think that pass was pretty neat. But, you know, I'm sorry, there probably wasn't a whole ton of shots in here for you today. My plan for the evening, now that I have a totally 1000% fully charged battery bank, is coming back over to the campsite now, the official Whiskey Bravo one, and I'll kind of eat some food, hang out here just for a couple minutes, and then pull up my food up this bear pole. You can see my line already run, and then mosey back over to the tent, and you know, lay down and start working through the backlog of videos. So yeah, plan for tomorrow is we'll keep hiking the same trail out, and then meet up with the road, man. And unfortunately, more road walk is in my future. So I should say, I think I'm only, let's see, 37 miles or something like that from Big Sky. 37 trail miles, that is. My plan had been to do 22 miles tomorrow, which would officially get me out of Yellowstone, and no need for permitting for camping or anything like that. But I'm going to kind of see how that goes. I mean, it looks like there's probably plenty of camping options, so I wouldn't be surprised if I wind up, instead of doing 22 tomorrow and then like 15 the next day, doing a slightly bigger day tomorrow and then trying to get into Big Sky early, perhaps catching an early bus to Bozeman, or perhaps just kind of poking around the town a little bit and getting a beverage or something like that. Definitely, Big Sky is too rich a town for me to stay the night at a minimum of $400 a night for the cheapest place in town. But I imagine I can probably find a beverage someplace. So anyways, that's it for today, guys. Pretty little hills. Not a bad little spot. And I saw some fly fishermen walk by. I'm not sure if he's fishing down in my campsite down here. I'm gonna come down and take a look. No, I don't see him. I'm not sure where in the blazes he went. Well, hopefully if he catches any trout or whatever, he'll come back over and share. We'll see. I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'll probably just eat my smashed up Doritos, so call it a day. So yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.